Good morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come to you with my Friday reads for the last couple of weeks. This will be from December, I think, 19th all the way up to today, January 2nd. But anyway, I wanted to tell you about the last couple weeks of reading. I've felt that I had a pretty productive time in reading, considering how much family time we've been having, and games, and just enjoying each other's company over this Christmas break. But I have got some reading in also, and I've also started building up a great habit where before Christmas break I was struggling in the late evening. I'd just watch TV and kind of just zone out and fall asleep, and I've kind of gotten myself back into a reading kick in the evenings, and so I've been getting some fiction read in the evenings, so I was pretty happy about that. But anyway, I wanted to tell you about some books that I had been reading the last couple weeks and my plans for the coming week. And so I want to start with right at the, let's see, I think I read this December 20th through the 22nd. It just took me a couple of days. Probably should have got it done faster than I did because it's super short, but I was still in that habit of falling asleep at night. So I did not finish it in the evening. But anyway, this was a wonderful, wonderful book. The Angel of Bastogne. It's a novel by Gilbert Morris. And this book here, I loved it. I put it on my best reads of the year. It is not like a Pulitzer Prize winner by any means, but it is just a really good, feel-good Christmas story. And I'm going to do a little book chat on this one, just to let you know a little bit more about it. But it all takes place in the beginning chapters, the Battle of Bastogne, and just some events that happen that kind of carry forward through the whole story, and it brings us into the modern times with one of the soldiers' sons who's doing a newspaper article on Christmas, and in particular this Christmas at Bastogne. And it was just a feel-good book. The best way to describe it is, and I don't know how many of you out there watch Hallmark movies, where once you get within the first 5 minutes of the movie, you kind of know what the whole story is going to be about, because they're all very, very predictable, but they're feel-good, heartwarming stories. That's what this book is like, and it was a good read right before Christmas. That's what I really liked about it. It's by a Christian author, and so it does have a Christian storyline to it, as you will pick up on as you're going through the book. And I just thought it was a really good story, so I'm going to do a book chat on this one and share that with you. And this is definitely one of those books I might read every December right before Christmas. It'll go right up with one of my other favorite stories by John Grisham, Skipping Christmas. Anyway, that was one book I got read. And then the next one was a fiction book, John Grisham's A Time for Mercy. I got this for my birthday back in October, and I just had not gotten around to it. I wanted to read Sycamore Row, which, if you're familiar with this series here, it's the Jake Bridges novels. He's the main lawyer in the book. And he's got 3 novels, A Time to Kill, Sycamore Row, and then A Time for Mercy. And I wanted to read, I read A Time to Kill earlier in the year, and then I was reading on Sycamore Row, and I finished that at the end of November, and so then I had time to read this one then, and it was awesome. I ranked it pretty high in my lists of books. I want to say I had it at number 2 is where I had it, but just a great novel, and I will do a book chat on this one as well. And it just takes them back to Ford County, Mississippi, Clanton, Mississippi, and Jake Bridges is the main author, and he is trying to get another guy off of, he's on trial for murder, and he's trying to get him off of the from going to death row, and he goes about it in a little bit different way of handling the case. And I'm going to do a book chat on this one. It was very good, all about showing mercy. And yeah. So another book that I got done reading this last week was Nathaniel Philbrick's In the Hurricane's Eye: The Genius of George Washington and the Victory at Yorktown. This was a good book. Kind of not what I expected totally, but it was a good book. I'm going to do a book chat on this one as well. I'd recommend it as a good read. It definitely, it's all about the Battle of Yorktown. I kind of question when he uses the genius of George Washington. I kind of question that because he really never played up how that worked out, and so I don't know why he used that as a subtitle, because I kind of disagree with it, and I'll explain why in the book chat. But he did do a pretty thorough job of explaining the naval battle between the French and the British, and that was quite interesting. Not necessarily up my alley. I didn't quite understand all of it. It's going to be one of those cases where I do need to go back and reread the book. Now, the last couple chapters were probably my favorite, and that dealt more with the land battles, which is more in my area of interest. The naval stuff, I'm just not real strong in that, and I mean, I hope to build up a better knowledge of that, and this is going to help me, but I have nothing really to compare it with, I guess. But he does tell a very good story on the Battle of Yorktown and a lot of the politics leading up to it. That was something that I had read about the politics with George Washington and Rochambeau, of the French commander, but I had not read anything about, that I could remember anyway, about the politics with the admirals in the French Navy and in the British Navy. And so that was all brand new stuff to me, and for that I really liked the book. But I got this read. This is also the last book on my nonfiction November list, so I will be doing a video on my nonfiction November books and doing a wrap-up on that. And again, I'm going to do a book chat on that. Be looking forward to that. So the book that I just finished this morning, that I thought I was going to get done, I was hoping, my plan was to get it done December 31st so that it would be officially a December book. But the way family stuff happened when we were, we started playing games and just had some family activities, and I didn't get a read like I thought maybe I would. And so this got put off till yesterday and today, and I got it finished up this morning. It's called The Last Neanderthal, a novel by Claire Cameron. Very, very interesting story. At the end, she really wrapped the story up and did a very good job of drawing me in and maybe wanting to reread it in the future. It's a pretty short novel, as you can see. I picked that up for $1 at the Dollar Tree, and it was just kind of, the cover looked cool, and The Last Neanderthal just kind of, I don't know, it sounded like it could be interesting. And it was. It's a book from a woman's point of view, and all about motherhood and loyalty and just the survival and trials of women, and motherhood was really hit on in this book. And so I think I would probably recommend this. It's I wouldn't put it up as like a 5-star read, but I'm going to go with maybe a 3.5 to 4-star, something like that, as far as my opinion goes. But worth checking it out, The Last Neanderthal. Now, those were my books from the last couple of weeks, so I thought I did pretty good with my reading as far as getting some stuff that's been sitting on my desk, getting it cleared out and done so I can put it back on the bookshelves and everything. But my next week of reading, this is what I have planned. So what I've been doing is reading my nonfiction in the morning, with the exception of this morning because I was trying to finish this book. But I usually read nonfiction in the morning because my mind's the most crisp at that time. And then if it's a weekend, I will read fiction during the afternoon. And then all through the week, in the evening before bedtime, I read fiction. The next book that I'm going to dig into as far as my fiction reads is Brotherhood by A.B. Westrick. And this book, it takes place in the post-Civil War, right after the Civil War in Virginia, and takes place with these brothers who are dealing with all of the post-war issues you know, the Union has conquered and they've got the army stationed there, and then you know, there's an uprising of the KKK and all of this kind of stuff, and so they are stuck in the middle of this whole mess. And so I think this could be an interesting read. Again, I don't know if I'll put it on my bookshelf until I get through it. I don't want to just throw it on there. I got to make sure the story's all right. But anyway, I'm hoping this is going to be a good read. That's going to be my fiction read. The next books that I'm reading as far as nonfiction for this week, I have two of them going. Number one is a buddy read that I got going with Peg over at the History Shelf, and we are reading The Zealot and the Emancipator, John Brown, Abraham Lincoln, and the Struggle for American Freedom by H.W. Brands. Now, this book, I haven't got very far into it. Yesterday I read the first chapter, so I'm just like 13 pages in, not very far. But I cannot say enough for H.W. Brands. If you are out there and you have not checked out any books by H.W. Brands, I highly recommend him as an author, because he's already got me in the first 13 pages. I'm already vested in the book. I'm already pretty excited about the book, and so I think this is probably going to be a pretty quick read. We're going to read it over the month, and Peg and I are going to discuss stuff that comes up in the book, but I think that it'll be pretty quick. Because he spins a good story, he spins a good yarn, and I really like his storytelling abilities, and he's a great historian. So if you've never checked out H.W. Brands, check out a book by him. There are some good ones out there. I specifically would recommend his biography on Teddy Roosevelt and his biography on Benjamin Franklin. They are excellent. I've read both of those. Highly recommend those. But this is going to be all about the late 1850s and then into, of course, the Civil War, and dealing with the slavery issue and trying to end slavery and the differences between these two guys and how they got the job done. All right, and then the other book that I have got planned for this week that I'm going to get started on, that might take me quite a while to get through, is American Caesar. Douglas MacArthur, 1880 to 1964, by William Manchester. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It's a biography on Douglas MacArthur, who is a very, very interesting character in American history. And I have never read any biographies on him. And if you follow the channel, you know that my history really is in the 17 and 1800s. And I am not super strong in World War II stuff, so this is going to definitely help me in my studies. And I know he was a general who comes across as a like him or hate him type guy, and that is really how Manchester really portrays him in the opening chapter, the opening prologue. And I think it's going to be a really good book. I'm going to learn a lot. So anyway, BookTube, this is my Friday reads. This is what I've been reading. I know it's not our weekly read. It's the 2 weeks, because I missed a week there because of Christmas break. But anyway, this is my last 2 weeks of reading and my plans for this coming week. I hope everyone is doing well, getting lots of reading in, and preparing for this new year to really get going and get revved up. So thank you for watching, and until next time, happy reading.